If you are over 65, one of the most dangerous snacks for your gut may not be the one you feel guilty about. It may be the one you trust, the one sitting in your pantry right now because the label says low fat, high protein, sugar-free, or light. Here is what many people miss. Gut trouble usually does not begin like a crisis. It begins like a whisper. A little bloating after lunch, a little constipation, more fatigue, more brain fog. And after a while, you start telling yourself that feeling off is just part of getting older. Sometimes it is not aging. Sometimes it is what you are feeding the system that protects you. A major study tracking more than 200,000 adults found that men with the highest intake of ultra-processed foods had a 29% higher risk of colorectal cancer than men with the lowest intake. 29%. That is not a small number, and the foods behind that pattern are not rare. They are ordinary, familiar, and easy to underestimate. Now let's raise the stakes, because this is not just about stomach comfort. It is not just about whether your waistband feels tight after dinner or whether you need an extra antacid at night. This is about whether your gut keeps doing the work that helps you stay independent. Your gut is not a passive tube. It is part of your immune system. It helps regulate inflammation. It influences blood sugar. It helps absorb nutrients. It supports regularity, energy, and even parts of brain function. After 65, all of that matters even more, because when the gut begins to struggle, it rarely struggles alone. A person starts with just constipation, and months later they are eating less, moving less, sleeping worse, and losing confidence. Another starts with chronic bloating and slowly stops going out because they do not trust their stomach. Another depends more and more on easy packaged snacks because chewing is hard or cooking feels exhausting, and convenience starts quietly replacing nourishment. That is why we need to talk honestly about the snacks that seem harmless. My name is Dr. William. I am a physician, and for more than 15 years, I have cared for older adults, studied nutrition and chronic disease research, and watched how small daily habits shape long-term health. I have treated thousands of patients. I read peer-reviewed journals. I follow the data. And I can tell you this, some of the most important health decisions older adults make are not dramatic ones. They are quiet, repeated ones. What sits by the chair? What stays in the glove compartment? What becomes the automatic snack at 3 in the afternoon or 9 at night? Let me also say this clearly. I am not here to sell you a supplement or frighten you into buying a course. I am not here to shame you for foods you grew up with. I am here to help you understand what these snacks do inside the body so you can make wiser choices with calm, not panic. And stay with me until the end, because the number one snack on this list is the one most people defend the hardest. It does not look indulgent. It does not look reckless. In fact, many seniors think it is the safest option in the house. In the wrong pattern, it may be one of the emptiest. Before we go further, drop your age in the comments and tell me which snack is hardest for you to give up. I read the comments, and it helps me understand what older adults are really facing in everyday life. Before I give you the 5 snacks, let me give you a simple science map, because once you understand the mechanism, the rest of this will make sense. There are 3 things to keep in mind. First, microbial diversity. That is the technical phrase. In plain language, it means how many different helpful bacteria are living in your gut and doing different jobs. Think of your gut like a healthy garden. A strong garden has variety. Different roots, different layers, different functions. When that variety shrinks, the garden becomes easier to disturb. Second, the gut barrier. This is the thin protective lining between what stays inside the digestive tract and what gets into the bloodstream. Think of it like a screen door on a summer porch. It lets useful things through while helping keep trouble out. When that barrier is irritated or weakened, inflammatory signals can rise. Third, fermentation. This is something your gut microbes do when you feed them fiber. They break it down and produce useful compounds, including one called butyrate. That is the technical word. Plainly, butyrate is fuel for the cells lining your colon. Think of it as premium fuel for the maintenance crew that keeps the inside of your gut healthy and calm. So with every snack on this list, ask 3 questions. Does it feed the helpful bacteria? Does it protect the barrier? Does it support calm fermentation? Or does it leave the gut underfed and irritated? Now let's count them down. Number 5, processed meat snacks, jerky, salami, sausage bites, bacon crispers. Here's what they do inside you. These snacks fool people because they seem practical. High protein, easy to store, no preparation, sometimes easy to chew. But your gut is not impressed by marketing. Processed meat snacks are usually low in fiber, high in sodium, and full of compounds created during processing, including preservatives such as nitrates and nitrites. That means they may satisfy a craving while doing almost nothing to support the bacteria that help protect your colon. Think of your colon like a long hallway lined with living tissue that constantly needs repair. Fiber-rich foods send in a cleaning crew and building materials. Processed meat sends in salt, smoke, preservatives, and protein, but very little help for the workers maintaining the wall. A large analysis discussed by Harvard Health looked at nearly 500,000 adults and found that people who ate red or processed meat 4 or more times a week had about a 20% higher risk of colorectal cancer than those eating it less than twice a week. Each daily 25-gram serving of processed meat was linked to a 19% increase in risk. So what happens if this becomes a daily snack habit? Over time, you are not only missing fiber, you are building a pattern that may increase inflammatory stress while reducing the gut's ability to produce protective compounds from plant foods. I remember a man I will call Frank, 72, from Tulsa. He kept beef jerky in his truck and small packets of salami in the kitchen for something quick. He told me, "Doc, I thought I was making a smarter choice than cookies." And I understood why he thought that. On the surface, it looked disciplined, but he was constipated, always thirsty, and relying on food that fed his appetite without feeding his gut. So what should you do instead? If you want something savory, move towards snacks with protein and fiber together. A handful of pistachios and an orange, hummus with cucumber and cherry tomatoes, plain Greek yogurt with walnuts, edamame with a little sea salt. If you choose processed meat, let it be occasional, not routine. And if regularity is one of your goals, pair your snack with water and fiber. Jerky alone tends to dry the system out. Nuts plus fruit works with the system, not against it. Number 4. Chips, Kiza crackers, PUFS, and Other ultra-processed Crunchquai snacks. Here is what they do inside you. These foods are designed to disappear fast. They melt, shatter, crunch, and keep your hand going back into the bag before your brain has caught up. But inside the gut, they often leave behind a poor trade. Lots of refined starch, lots of sodium, lots of industrial flavoring, and very little fiber. Think of your gut bacteria like workers waiting at a warehouse dock. Whole foods arrive with useful cargo, fiber, polyphenols, water, plant compounds. These ultra-processed snacks often arrive with empty boxes. Calories? Yes. Biological value? Not much. The Tufts and Harvard research I mentioned earlier followed more than 200,000 participants for over 25 years. Among men, the highest intake of ultra-processed foods was linked with a 29% higher risk of colorectal cancer compared with the lowest intake. The strongest association was seen with certain ready-to-eat meat, poultry, and fish products, but the broader message still matters. When a diet leans heavily on ultra-processed snack foods, the colon may pay a long-term price. Here is what many people get wrong. They blame only sugar. Sugar matters, yes, but it is not just sugar. It is also the food matrix. That technical phrase simply means the structure of the food itself. Think of a whole apple versus apple-flavored puffs. One is a living package with fiber, water, and plant compounds. The other is a factory echo of food. A woman I will call Maria, 68, from Phoenix, told me she ate just a few cheese crackers every afternoon with iced tea. By evening, she felt puffy, sleepy, and oddly hungry again. That little ritual felt harmless because it was familiar, but it was quietly replacing real food. We kept it simple. Several days a week, she swapped the crackers for air-popped popcorn with a little olive oil, roasted chickpeas, or apple slices with almonds. Within weeks, her afternoon slump improved and her bowels became more predictable. That improvement is not magic. It is biology. More fiber, slower digestion, better satiety, better fermentation in the colon. If you are going to eat these snacks, at least portion them instead of eating from the bag. Better still, replace them with crunchy foods that do some work for your gut, popcorn without heavy artificial flavoring, carrots with hummus, celery with peanut butter, whole grain crisp bread with avocado, roasted chickpeas, or a small handful of nuts. Because when these foods show up every day, they do not just add calories. They crowd out better foods until your gut is running on scraps. Number 3, sugar-free candies, low sugar bars, and a sweetener, heavy diet snacks. Now we come to the category that surprises people. A lot of older adults switch to sugar-free snacks with good intentions. They want to protect blood sugar. They want to avoid weight gain. They want to be responsible. I respect that instinct. But some of these products come with a different cost. Many sugar-free candies and healthy bars contain sugar alcohols such as sorbitol or maltitol, or non-nutritive sweeteners such as sucralose and saccharin. These compounds can trigger bloating, cramping, gas, and diarrhea in sensitive people. Some also appear to affect the microbiome itself. A randomized trial published in Cell by researchers at the Weizmann Institute studied 120 healthy adults, 20 per group. The investigators found that the sweeteners tested altered the gut microbiome in distinct ways, and 2 of them, saccharin and sucralose, significantly impaired glucose responses. The paper also noted that more than 41% of adults in the United States report consuming non-nutritive sweeteners. So this is not unusual exposure. It is common. Think of these sweeteners like uninvited guests at a dinner party. Your body receives the signal of sweetness, but the expected nutritional package does not fully arrive. In some people, that mismatch creates chaos in the gut. In others, it keeps the appetite tuned towards sweetness all day long. I remember a woman I will call Denise, age 70, from Tampa. She kept sugar-free mints by her recliner and ate low-sugar protein bars at night because she thought they were helping her avoid dessert. Instead, she was bloated almost every evening and nervous about sitting through church services without discomfort. The label looked disciplined. Her gut felt punished. So what should you do instead? Read the ingredient list, not just the front label. If a product contains multiple sweeteners, sugar alcohols, and a long paragraph of additives, do not let it become your daily fallback. Choose simpler options, plain yogurt with cinnamon, cottage cheese with berries, a boiled egg and fruit, or a small piece of dark chocolate with walnuts. If you want a bar, choose one made mostly from recognizable foods and use it as backup, not a habit. And very often, when people reduce sweetener-heavy snacks and add one gut-supportive food such as kefir, berries, or chia, digestive calm starts returning faster. If this is helping you, subscribe and share this video with one person you care about. A spouse, a sister, a neighbor, a friend from church. Most appointments are too short for this conversation. So if this message matters to you, help me get it to someone else who needs it. Number TWO. Creamy packaged dessert snacks. Pudding, cups, flavored one-jerts, snack cakes, and other emulsifier-rich foods. Here's what they do inside you. This category is sneaky because it feels gentle, soft, sweet, easy on the teeth, easy to swallow. And for many older adults, those are real concerns. But many packaged creamy snacks use emulsifiers and stabilizers to keep texture smooth and shelf life long. Plain language? These are ingredients that help oil and water stay mixed so the product stays silky instead of separating. The problem is that the gut is not a shelf. It is a living barrier. Think of your gut's mucus layer like a thin, slippery protective coat covering the wall underneath. Some emulsifiers have raised concern because they may disturb that protective layer or alter the bacterial community living near it. In a controlled feeding study of 16 healthy adults, researchers tested a common emulsifier called carboxymethylcellulose for about 2 weeks. The group consuming it showed reduced microbiota diversity and more abdominal discomfort after meals. 2 participants also developed microbiota encroachment, meaning bacteria moved closer to the gut lining than researchers want to see. It was a small study, yes, but it was carefully controlled and biologically important. I remember a man I will call Leonard, 77, from Columbus. He ate vanilla pudding cups nearly every night because they were easy with dentures and required no preparation. He called them his harmless treat. But he also had a steady, low-grade abdominal unease that never fully left. Not severe pain, just a constant feeling that things were never settled. We replaced most of those pudding cups with plain yogurt, soft blueberries, and a spoonful of ground flax. After a few weeks, he told me, "It feels quieter in there." And often, that is how progress begins. Not dramatic, just quieter. So what should you do instead? First, do not assume all yogurt is healthy. A heavily sweetened dessert yogurt may behave more like dessert than a gut-supportive food. Look for plain or low-sugar yogurt with live cultures. If you tolerate dairy, kefir can also be a strong option. Add berries, chia, or ground flax for fiber. If dairy does not work for you, try unsweetened applesauce with chia, soft fruit with nut butter, or oatmeal with cinnamon and crushed nuts. The key point is this: easy to eat and easy on the body are not always the same thing. Number oni. Refined flour, crackers, pretzels, coquias, and other bland snacks that starve theggut. This is the one I told you would surprise people. Because these foods do not look wild. They look sensible. A few plain crackers with tea, pretzels in a bowl, butter cookies because they feel light, dry toast points, rice crackers. They are familiar, gentle, and often chosen by older adults who think they are avoiding worse options. But here is the deeper problem. These snacks are usually low in fiber, low in beneficial plant compounds, and easy to overuse precisely because they do not feel indulgent. They are not just neutral. In large amounts, they replace better foods. Think of your gut microbes like a town that depends on daily deliveries. Fiber is the delivery truck. Polyphenols are part of the supplies. Fermented foods are reinforcements. When you keep sending in refined flour with almost no useful cargo, the town does not collapse overnight. It just becomes weaker, quieter, and less capable of repair. After 65, that matters a great deal. In the NU Age study, researchers followed 612 adults between 65 and 79 across 5 European countries. Those who moved toward a Mediterranean-style eating pattern developed microbiome changes linked to reduced frailty, lower inflammation, and better cognitive function. In a separate 10-week Stanford study of 36 adults, the fermented food group increased microbiome diversity, and all 19 measured inflammatory proteins declined. The message is simple. The older gut responds to what you repeatedly feed it. I remember a woman I will call Gloria, age 81, from Sacramento. She kept pretzels in a blue ceramic bowl beside her reading chair because, as she put it, they don't bother me. But she was also constipated, low energy, and eating less variety every month. We did not overhaul her entire life. We simply replaced one pretzel snack with kefir and raspberries, another with whole grain crisp bread and hummus, and another with pear slices and almond butter. A month later, she was more regular, more willing to eat dinner, and steady enough to begin taking short evening walks again. That is the benefit, not perfection, function. So what should you do instead? Choose snacks that bring fiber with them. Aim for at least 3 grams of fiber per serving when possible. Use foods like apples, pears, berries, nuts, seeds, true whole grain crisp breads, roasted chickpeas, oatmeal, or plain yogurt with fruit. If your stomach feels sensitive, soft foods can still be useful foods. Stewed fruit, oats, banana with nut butter, yogurt with chia. And this is why I ranked this number 1. Not because it is the most dramatic snack, because it is the most underestimated. People eat it daily, defend it emotionally, and never realize how much better their gut might feel if they replaced even half of it. Let's bring it all together. Number 5 was processed meat snacks, convenient, salty, low in fiber, and linked in long-term dietary patterns to higher colorectal risk. Number 4 was ultra-processed, crunchy snacks like chips and cheese crackers, engineered for repeat eating and often doing very little to support the gut microbiome. Number 3 was sugar-free candies and sweetener-heavy bars, products that can disturb the gut, trigger bloating, and in some cases alter glucose responses and the microbiome itself. Number 2 was creamy packaged dessert snacks rich in emulsifiers, foods that may reduce microbial diversity and irritate the gut environment. And number one was refined flour crackers, pretzels, cookies, and other bland snack stand-ins that quietly starve the gut by replacing fiber-rich, fermented, and plant-based foods. So what is the core lesson? It comes back to the three mechanisms we talked about at the beginning. Microbial diversity. You want more of it, not less. Gut barrier protection. You want to support it, not irritate it. Fermentation of fiber into useful compounds like butyrate. You want to feed that process, not shut it down. If your snack weakens those systems day after day, then even if it seems small, it is not small. Here is what I want you to do tonight and this week. Identify your automatic snack, the one you reach for without thinking. Replace just one daily snack this week with a gut-supportive option: apple and nuts, yogurt and berries, hummus and vegetables, kefir and chia, something simple and realistic. Look at the fiber number on your packaged snacks. If it is close to 0, do not ignore that. Read the ingredient list for sweeteners and emulsifiers. If a snack looks more like chemistry than food, do not make it your routine. Add one helpful gut food this week: a fermented food, a fiber-rich fruit, legumes, oats, or a true whole grain. And if you have lasting bloating, pain, weight loss, blood in the stool, or a major change in bowel habits, talk to your doctor. Do not guess. I want to end with something I have learned after years of caring for older adults. Most people do not want to live forever. They want to live well. They want to stay steady. They want to trust their body enough to leave the house without worry. They want to carry their own groceries. They want to enjoy dinner without pain, urgency, or the private fear that something inside them is getting weaker. And the truth is, your gut is part of that dignity. Every small choice you make is either building a little more resilience or quietly giving it away. You do not need a miracle cleanse. You do not need a drawer full of powders. You do not need fear. You need fewer foods that drain the system and more foods that feed it. That is slower advice. It is quieter advice, but it is the kind that holds up in real life. And if you are listening to me right now thinking, I have been eating this way for 20 years, let me say this with complete sincerity. Your body is still listening. Your gut can still change. Inflammation can calm. Bowel habits can improve. Energy can return. Appetite can improve. That future is not closed to you. It is never too late. If this helped you, subscribe and tap the notification bell so you do not miss the next video. And in the comments, tell me your age and tell me this. Which one of these 5 snacks are you going to replace first? I read your comments, and I genuinely want to hear from you.